Hi everyone, I'm Erica, and it's been a very long time since I have uploaded anything to this channel. I'm now 24 years old, and I'm a Christian. Jesus Christ saved my life, and one thing he's done is helped me fall in love with reading. And so today what we're going to be doing is looking at all of the Christian fiction books that have made me fall in love with reading. So without further ado, we're gonna get started. Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers was the very first Christian fiction book I ever read, and guys, Redeeming Love is a fictionalized allegory of the story of Hosea, and it follows Angel and Michael. Angel is a woman who was sold into prostitution as a child, and Michael is a farmer, man of God, who God calls to marry said prostitute, and he doesn't understand why. But he follows, he obeys God, and he sees there's much resistance from Angel because she is so accustomed to men only desiring her for her body and for her flesh. But Michael is different, even though she has such a hard time seeing it. I actually listened to this book on Audible, and I loved the narrator of it. I went on to read, and we're going to introduce this right now, her series Mark of the Lion, and the narrator was just as great. I would definitely go ahead and grab this book. Also, by the way, I didn't know this while I was reading the book, but afterward I realized there is a Redeeming Love movie out on Netflix. So when I found that out after having read the book, I watched it, and it's a very accurate portrayal of what happened in the book. You lose a lot of the internal conflict and dialogue that Angel goes through, as well as Michael, because the movie of course had to be condensed, but I would say that it is fairly true to the book. Now, as promised, our next read is also Francine Rivers, and it is her Mark of the Lion series, guys. You guys, she did not fail. She ate this up. The first one is A Voice in the Wind, the second one is An Echo in the Darkness, and the third one is Sure as Dawn. Sure as Dawn actually follows a side character, but I found it to be equally as powerful as these other two books. Her writing style remains the same. I was engaged throughout the entire process. I'm actually still reading Sure as Dawn on Audible, but I'm loving it. I would definitely not read it just because it's not following the main characters from the first two books. These two books follow Hadassah, who is a slave girl sold into a wealthy Roman family. She's Christian, and so she has to keep her faith hidden from the family. However, when it comes time to test her faith and to confess her love for Jesus Christ, Hadassah does not fail. She passes every test, and something that I absolutely love about this character is how uncompromising Hadassah is about her faith, and yet she is so graceful in the way that she respects earthly authority as we are called to. There's an unlikely slow burn romance between her and one of her masters, Marcus. Through the entire book, we see Marcus struggling, as well as his entire family, with seeking earthly pleasures, trying to fill that void with the things of this world, and ultimately feeling empty and unsatisfied. He sees the peace that Hadassah has, and he does not understand how this slave girl seems to have more freedom than him. This is one of those books where you are rooting for their relationship, but at the same time you know that they're unequally yoked. This just came to me right off the noggin right now. It is a beautiful embodiment of the verse 1 Peter 3 1 through 2. It says, "Wives, in the same way, submit yourselves to your own husbands, so that if any of them do not believe the word, they may be won over without words by the behavior of their wives when they see the purity and reverence of your lives." Now, Hadassah is not Marcus's wife. However, her purity and reverence is something that allures not only him, but the rest of his family and anyone who comes into contact with Hadassah. I want to be like Hadassah. 5 stars, no question about it. Also, one really cute thing that I've noticed throughout all of her series is that one of Francine Rivers' favorite words is sardonic. So she'll say he had a sardonic smile on his face, and every time I see it now I just smirk because I can tell that it's part of her signature, her style. So this next book is going to be by C.S. Lewis, and the next couple of books are going to be as well because I absolutely love him. This is The Screwtape Letters, and it is a Christian satirical fiction that follows a senior demon, Screwtape, writing letters to his nephew. It's a demon in training, so he's giving him advice on how to be more demonic. Through these letters, as humans, we can see the subtle tricks of the enemy, what he uses to distance us from God, what he uses to pin us against the rest of the church, to make us more prideful, even in our faith. Honestly, I can only really show you why I love this book so much by reading you one of my favorite quotes from it. Consider how we would think that the devil wants us dead, right? Isn't that the idea that we have? He wants what's worst for us. He's trying to kill us. But Screwtape says, do you not realize that the patient's death at this moment is precisely what we want to avoid? The various methods of corrupting his spiritual life which have been trying are so far unsuccessful. At the present moment, he has been taken out of himself, as the humans say, and daily increasing in conscious dependence on the enemy. He will almost certainly be lost to us if he is killed today. Huh? The devil wants us to live longer if we're believers? Because it gives him more of an opportunity to turn us away from the Lord and not let us finish our race of faith? That's exactly the type of revelation that we see come through in this book, and I absolutely am so grateful to C.S. Lewis for letting God use him in this way to write this. C.S. Lewis fantasy books have such a way of engrossing you in the evidence of God, and by the end of the book, testing you by putting so much distance between you or a character and the spiritual experience they had at the beginning or in the middle of the book that you doubt whether it happened in the first place. How much do you have to see in order to really believe? Is your faith based on spiritual experience or on the revelation that you received from God that he is true and he is real? This is Till We Have Faces, and it is unlike any other book that I've ever read. It's a mythological novel. It's a mythological novel. How to say that 10 times over. It's a mythological novel and a fantasy fiction writing that retells the story of Cupid and Psyche. It saturates us with Christian allegory that's not one-to-one but multi-dimensional references. Till We Have Faces follows two royal sisters in ancient Glome, and we see the love of Auril, one of the sisters, for her sister Psyche. Auril had to essentially raise Psyche because the king was very busy and unconcerned with them. And let's just say that Auril's love for her sister is so potent and deep that it can even be deadly. Through Auril, we realize just how much we can miss out on in our relationship with God because of self-deception, because we deny looking at ourselves truthfully and seeing our own faces. The world building in this book is so great that I have memories of it as if it were a movie that I watched. I remembered it as though I had watched it in a movie. Then I realized, wait, I'm remembering one of the key moments from Till We Have Faces as if it were a cinematic video that I watched with my own two eyes. That's how well C.S. Lewis paints vivid imagery in his writing. And my favorite part of this book is how it paints vivid imagery for the lived experience of John 3:3, which essentially says that we need new sight in order to be able to actually see the kingdom of God. I've never seen it portrayed that way, and it has changed the way that I view the kingdom of God, which is here and we are in it, but it's also inside of us. I was really immersed in this setting as if it were a second character in the book. 100%, 5 out of 5 stars. Highly recommend reading Till We Have Faces. Now, I have to admit that with this next series, this is a trilogy and I've only read one of them fully. I've read this one, Out of the Silent Planet by C.S. Lewis. But the reason I actually started reading this one is because I originally was interested in Perelandra. So I read through Out of the Silent Planet, and guys, never seen anything like it. I mean, yes, I'm fairly new to reading, but this has absolutely been the best introduction to fantasy ever, and I compare every other book against this one, fantasy book, and it's just laid such a beautiful perspective on what allegory can look like. In fact, C.S. Lewis doesn't like calling his book, specifically this trilogy, an allegory. He prefers to refer to it as supposal. Suppose that Christianity happened in outer space. So the series follows a man named Ransom who is kidnapped into going to outer space, visiting another planet. He has no idea which one. And he is taken hostage under the idea that he's going to be offered as a sacrifice to the aliens on this other planet. Are they going to be good? Are they going to be evil? Are they going to be like him, like humans? Are they going to be mechanical? Let's just say that when he arrives, all of his suspicions are turned on their head, and also a lot of his preconceived beliefs about the goodness of humanity. I love how didactic C.S. Lewis's writing is, because that's how I personally learn. I see them navigate conflicts internally, and I learn from their process. This first book makes you question how Christianity would play out in the life of a different species. What do you think? 5 out of 5. Again, C.S. Lewis does it every single time for me. Now, this is our very last recommendation, and it is my most recent read. It is Authentically Izzy by Pepper Basham. Look at this cover. Isn't it so cute? I love it. This has been my first bookish book ever. A bookish book is what I call a book where characters love books, and it has been such a source of TBR books. Actually, maybe I'll do like an Authentically Izzy TBR. That could be really fun. It's inspired a lot of other reading. Authentically Izzy follows a girl named Izzy Edgewood as she tries to navigate her early 30s, her career, romance life, which is pretty fruitless right now. Her cousin Josephine, though, is handling it. Apparently. She sets her up on a matchmaking website, and Izzy is so not about it at the beginning, but she meets someone who sounds very promising, too good to be true, bookish just like her, maybe even more, and we are left to wonder, will this romance survive? She loves books, but how can she turn that into a career beyond just working at her aunt's library? And I'm not gonna spoil it, but Brody, her love interest, seems to have a lot of what she's looking for. He's also halfway across the world, so there's that. 100%, 5 out of 5 stars. I was just absolutely giddy reading this book the entire time, like a little girl squealing in high school. And not to mention, Pepper Basham is so funny. I probably every other page I was laughing, and not just like a chuckle, but belly laughing. And I forgot to mention, this is a correspondence fiction. So she's emailing throughout the entire book. That's the format of it. There's emails back and forth. However, I really appreciate that at the end, she turned it into a third-person narrative. And that's it. Those are the books that have made me fall in love with Christian fiction and have made me certainly decide I am not stopping anytime soon. It's why I've started this channel, because I want to share the love that God has given me for Christian fiction. It's one of the reasons why Jesus used parables so often, because he knew that storytelling has a way of touching the soul in a way where direct lecture doesn't always. We can relate to it, we can see ourselves painted in the pages of these books and see our faith being tested and strengthened alongside the characters. I'm really excited to continue this journey with you guys, and I hope that you'll stick around. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing so that you can be alerted when I do post more of them. I love Christian books, so everything you're gonna see here is going to be based on Jesus Christ and my love for him and my gratitude for him and my desire to know him more. I love you guys. God bless you. I'm gonna leave a link to my socials down in the description box, including my Fable account. And yeah, have a good day. Bye, guys.